until you and I met, I will be completely honest, I had never thought about health and safety until I met you, as far as children are concerned.
Having been in Kenyan schools, I don't think I had heard of what OSH is, Occupational Safety and Health.
Yeah.
But how many schools do you think are testing their water? We're having children drinking direct from the tap, and we're asking, why is H. pylori out there?
I'm scared to even ask. Oh Lord.
The teacher says, you know what, you go sleep at the corner, sleep through this lesson, and then, we will see. And then now it's home time, and they're trying to shake this child, and the child is not there. He's gone.
And I think about, I was looking at some of the statistics that you have on your website and on your Instagram, something like 107 schools
that caught fire
in 2024.
Yeah.
Then I saw the statistics from 2016 where it was like almost upwards of 300.
Yes.
I was like, what in the world?
Just gone to pick your child up, and they're looking for them. They're looking, and they find the child floating in a pool.
No. But you know what I mean? There's a lot of parents out there that don't know that what you do exists, or even aware enough to go, hey, we need to hold the school accountable. So how do we come together to ensure that our children are safe online, are safe at school, are safe? Welcome back, everybody. 2026. You're here. It is I, Bella, your host. Welcome to the Transparent Parenting Podcast. New year, new hair. Just saying. I hope you like it. But I just want you to know, when you see that the hair has changed, something is going on underneath over there. But karibuni sana. I feel like it's been a really, really long time since I was with you all, and it has been a bit of a break. By the time this airs, it has been a bit of a break, but I am hoping that you guys had a lovely end to 2025. You've had an amazing start to 2026. I don't know about you guys, but 2026 has started like... it's quick fire. I don't know about the rest of you out there. I would love to hear in the comments, but welcome back nonetheless. Today I am joined by Pastor Joy Njoroge, who I'm going to, for the sake of the rest of the podcast, refer to as Joy here on. Pastor Joy is actually, I can't say Joy. I have to say Pastor Joy. I think also because I've been referring to you as Pastor Joy since we first met. But Pastor Joy, I'm going to get you to introduce yourself, but I was going through not just your bio, but I was actually going through all the things that you are doing, and then you mentioned that you obviously just dropped off a cake for your daughter's birthday.
Yes.
There's so many things going on, so we'll talk a little bit about all that you do and who you are, and obviously why we're here today. We're here to talk about child safety, but you are in the middle of doing an MBA in psychology.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, you have an 8-year-old.
I have an 8-year-old.
You run a consultancy.
Yes.
You are also a qualified nurse.
Yes.
Yes. You are also a pastor.
Yeah.
And then, just on the low, you're out here. You've made time for our podcast.
We had to.
Karibu.
Asante.
Just another loose Friday in Nairobi.
Just a Friday in Nairobi, which is running.
Tell us a little bit about your business, because that's the reason we're here today.
Yes.
And we're going to tie it into everything, all things mom and all things and why you started the business. But tell us a little bit about, what you do. What is EdSafe?
What is EdSafe? Right. So I started off as a nurse, just to give you a bit of background.
Yeah.
So I started off as a nurse at the Nairobi hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked there for 5 years. So I was there as a student and as a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point, I just thought, maybe I may have picked somebody else's call. You know, the way we say nursing is a call. I was like, But then I thought, you know what, I want to go into health management. And so I went back to school and did a degree, a bachelor's in health systems management.
Yeah.
So as I was getting into that and I was still working, I got into Hillcrest.
Yeah.
And as a nurse, as a school nurse.
Yeah.
Someone just recommended me, and so it was really good for me to be studying and working at the same time. But I got that feel of being in an international school, nursing the international kids. And then after that, another school opened up, Crawford, where I started also as their school nurse, and then I graduated. Now I finished my bachelor's, and they were like, you know what? how about you take over our health and safety management? And so I thought, wow, look
Wait,
at
so not
that.
just a nurse now, you've got the degree, why don't you take over this?
Yes, take over this docket. I mean, you have just graduated. And so, having been in Kenyan schools, I don't think I had heard of what OSH is, Occupational Safety and Health.
Yeah.
And from their angle, from Crawford are very serious about safety.
Is that like a British curriculum school?
Yeah, it's
or?
Cambridge, yes. It's,
Okay.
yeah, they have the Cambridge system.
Yeah.
But they're very serious about what health and safety is.
Yeah.
And just making sure that the school meets every standard to make sure that kids are safe. And so I was there for the 4 years. And through that, of course, we had COVID, which really strained that safety bit.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
had to put in all these, measures. And so I was forefront running to get the health officials from, city council.
Wait a minute. So you must have been super overwhelmed because you're a fresh graduate in this
Yeah.
particular degree.
Yes.
Then COVID is something no one in the world has ever experienced.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say that I used to see Chinese tourists around with masks. This is
Yes.
before COVID. And I used to think to myself, I overkill. I used to ask myself, is it dust? But they had been through similar things with swine flu and stuff like that. So I guess they kind of knew what they were doing.
Yes.
So you're a new graduate, you're working in this school. Are you just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm over my head. Ministry of Health don't know what they're doing.
Yes, everyone was actually guessing. So the thing is, so by the time COVID was hitting, I had already been working with the school for an year.
Yeah.
And had already started the health and safety bit. The health and safety is basically looking at doing a lot of inspections, the audits, risk assessments.
Yeah.
And there's different segments of the school and you're constantly doing inspections
Yeah.
and just noting where are we out of standard? And what can I bring in? Who is not trained? Who should I get trained? And then now COVID hit, and all the kids had to they had to study from online. Home. Yeah, they had to study from home, and now we're left with the school. And then now we needed to transition after 2020 into getting kids back to school, and that was a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Disinfectants were all over the school, hand washing basins. But good thing is this, that we got inspected. The school actually came, I think it came second in the great places to learn because of health and safety. They were really
Who
meeting.
was doing the audits? I didn't even know there was such a thing, to be honest. I'm like, what?
So the school has put itself up on that. There's a chart for great places to school, and all these schools put their names up, and then so of course it's more competitive in trying to get
Is
who's
it an
going to be.
international standard type thing?
Yes,
Oh,
it's an
that's
international
awesome.
standard.
Yeah.
So the school came second.
That's
And
saying
then
a lot for you.
I know. I
though.
was
Come
so
on.
excited. I was really excited. And
Yeah.
then the next year again, we also
Come
scooped that particular
on.
award. And I was like, oh, so maybe I'm really taking this very, very seriously.
Yeah, and I'm good at it,
And
you
I
know?
am good at it.
Yeah.
And so I got training on it. I was very keen on, all those aspects of the school. And then another opening came up with a different school, and they needed a health and safety manager. And I just tried it and I got it.
Look at you.
And so, but now this school has been ongoing for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And it's within Nairobi. And I thought, you know what? How do you not know what health and safety is? How is it? I mean, I did the first
Wait, so
audit.
they were looking for someone and then they were trying to establish it for the first time.
So they were trying to get, they knew there's a problem.
Yeah.
And they thought, you know what, maybe a health and safety manager can help us.
Yeah.
But maybe they didn't know how or what she will come in and do. But I mean, when I did my very first audit, I thought, there is such a huge gap.
Define, so I don't know if you're at liberty to discuss, but what was the problem? Because I think that's the other thing is like, until you and I met, I will be completely honest.
Yes.
I mean, I went through all the Kenyan school systems and they were fairly good schools. Thank you,
Yes.
mom and dad. Like really, really good schools. I had never thought about health and safety until I met you, as far as children are concerned. And I think when I think about health and safety, like I was saying to you before, I'm thinking first aid in the home. Gotta get my nanny trained. Gotta make sure all of us know what to do with choking hazards, with potential falls, sharp corners, things
Yes,
like that.
yes.
So when it comes into schools, and I was discussing this with someone yesterday, going, oh my gosh, in the West, you hear it all the time. We watch
the
movies
time.
and we sit down watching them doing fire drills in a movie.
Yes.
Kids. But we don't stop to ask ourselves, hey,
This is not happening here.
and I said to her, do you know, in all the time I was in this really, really good school, really well-known Nairobi, never ever had a fire drill. If somebody was to shout fire in that school, I don't know where our assembly points were. Assembly for us meant something different. And I'm sure it meant
Yes,
something
yes.
different for you. Yeah? What was assembly?
Monday morning, all of us in a row.
National anthem.
National
Thank
anthem.
you. That was assembly.
Yeah.
So by the time someone is telling me assembly points, I'm like, what
What are you
are you
talking about?
talking? Because
Yeah.
I didn't know where that was in our schools. And so that's why I wanted to go back to, when you say this school knew they had a problem, that's saying a lot, even to be self-aware. But
Yes.
it sounds like there was an incident that led them to know there's a situation.
It could have been, but also maybe they were trying to get they were trying to get themselves registered into another
like
maybe
accreditations.
Cambridge. Yes,
got
and
you.
so to get that you need to have, of course, the right documents. But then you look at maybe where you're at, you're thinking 25 years. We've been, maybe another eye can help us to get there. And so when I did that initial audit, oh my goodness, I think I was scoring them at less than 20% of compliance. And so I was like, okay, there's a lot of work to do. Are you ready to support? Because I'm going to come in and I will say, this place we are closing off. This roof, we have to get it changed.
And were they giving you that freedom
Yes,
of
they
like,
were.
you are the expert, come in and tell us?
Yes, there were a lot of support.
I
A lot
love
of support,
that.
especially from my supervising manager. She was very, very keen on, we really need to get these documents. You know what?
So
Feel
help
free.
us.
I will put the budget together. You tell me. And so from just looking at even something as simple as the sand on the playground, it's not been changed more than 10 years. What do you mean?
Don't tell me, Beck. I haven't changed it.
And and that's a school right in the heart of Lavington. So you're thinking, what about all our other Kenyan-based schools So I thought, okay, so there's a lot to be done. Water treatment. And so why I brought EdSafe up is because after going through that, I thought there's a huge gap in our system, in the Kenyan schools, in the private schools, the public schools. We don't look at safety as an aspect to start off the school with. It's not even discussed much in the leadership until after an accident has happened. And so I started doing a research on the accidents that are happening. And it's really sad. Schools are for learning. They're not for us to lose any children, according to me. And so when I've come across all these incidences, 2 children have drowned somewhere. One child, has broken their hand. There was actually an incident in one of the schools. A child was electrocuted because of this bouncing castle. You can imagine they're just having a day bouncing castle, and then they've connected the socket across wet grass. Something that probably nobody even thought this could be, until the girl jumps over this, this socket and then gets electrocuted.
Barefoot or something.
Thank God that we had an ambulance there, but she's had to go through grafting and all that. So you can imagine the risks far outweigh our so-called notion of safety.
Yeah.
And so I thought, begin to approach our schools and put together a company.
So rather than you now working for individual schools, you started thinking, hang on, I could make this a consultancy where I...
Yes.
You're going from school to school.
Then I will go from school to school, offer it out, get as many principals to just sit down and then, because I know it's a headache really at the back of every principal who has to make that phone call and say, we've had an accident, meet us at the hospital. And you see, because I was a school nurse, I used to make those calls of, we had hockey and, there's a broken arm here or there. And the worst would be, something has happened that the school would have prevented. So a lot of the incidences are preventable. And so that is the angle I'd want most principals to look at, that that headache you want, it's at the back of your mind.
Deal with it before.
Let's deal with it. Let's prevent other than cure.
Yes.
Let's prevent other than wait until you're having to tell a parent, we are so sorry. No.
Yeah.
This is cool. Our Kenyan parents, you're busy. We are seated here right now. We are not expecting any bad phone call.
No, that's the last thing you want.
It's the last thing we want.
Yeah.
In fact, even our ambulances, they have to rescue, accidents, not children in schools. But you see, then it means we need to really take it seriously. I'll say this, that safety is an aspect that leadership has to be the very first ones to advocate for. If your top leaders are not seeing it, it's just we continue the cycle.
I was thinking about the fact that, again, going as far back as, I don't even want to say how many years ago, when I was in school, but a time when, I think safety, nobody really ever, and even now, really thinks about safety. But I was going to ask you, with your consultancy and now, taking a different approach where you wanted to approach each school and say, hey, there's things you need to think about. Have you found that there is a resistance, or are you having to reconfigure people's minds around how they think about safety or what we perceive as safety? Because, like even when you said audit, and I'll get you to talk a little bit about that actually, is what does an audit look like? Because there's things you're mentioning and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never thought about that. I've never thought about this and that and the other. Are you finding that there is resistance with what you're doing?
Yes.
Is it just mindsets that go, yo's your shit, they're like, that's not a problem? Or
My biggest issue, in fact, the one that sits at the top is mindset. Is actually just that that laid back mindset that we have as Kenyans. We are more business prone than. Do you know that just putting safety as one of your topmost safeguards is gonna boost your business so much, because our system is more, let's get the kids up. Even when parents are looking for schools, the first thing you're looking at is which school is doing so well in terms of grades.
Absolutely. Everyone's looking at academics.
Academics, they look at the aesthetics. They're like, yeah, beautiful school. So this is what I'm gonna say, that how a school looks does not mean it's safe. All right. Compliance documents, just having proper documents does not mean that it is safe. Safety is a culture. So one of my biggest hindrances is the mindset. That's why I have to do a lot of one-on-one sit downs with the principals so that I can pick their minds and I say, all right, so tell me about the incidences you've had. And they'll say, yeah, I had to look for an ambulance at this one point. We had taken kids on a trip and then we had this incident. And every parent, we are it's our nature. We will always ask, where was the teacher?
Yeah.
Who was the adult around?
Because we get very,
which is our right, And so then that calls for this principal to think about their staff, the state of mind of their staff, so that their safety mindset is translated to their teachers. That when I'm taking the kids out, I'm not just thinking, we're out, but you are watching, because any child under the Kenyan government, every child who is below 18 is a child. I mean, there must be someone liable to them. So as long as we've left them in school, you have to take care of them. They are your responsibility.
You're liable,
And so then that should sit with every principal who's probably listening, every parent, as you're listening. You have to think, what's the safety measures and safeguards I have put around my school to ensure that I'm not having to have any fatal accidents. I'm not losing any child. When kids are going out on a trip, I'm bringing them back to their parents alive and well. And there are those subtle things that we just overlook, and they are actually the ones that come and bite. They really bite, and they bite so bad. They bite really bad.
I wanted to, so tell me what when you do a typical audit, or even when you're approaching these schools, I'm sure you're going in with statistics to say, hey, have you ever thought about ABCD?
Yes.
What is a typical audit? What are the things like you're saying, it's the little things that we overlook and we don't think about? Because right now, to be honest, off the top of my head, safety for me looks like, okay, if a school has a pool, my assumption would be that there must always be a lifesaver. And beyond having a lifesaver, they should always have, what do we call them, like a little boundary or little fence off, around, type, to ensure that kids are not just wandering to the pool. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, we need fire extinguishers. Again, this is just me layman saying off the top of my head, fire is a hazard, water is a hazard. So we've got fire extinguishers, maybe fire blankets here and there. I don't know, maybe have, if you've got stairs, make sure that the rails are secure and things like that. And that's kind of like my limit at the moment in the way of safety. When you do an audit, talk to us, because you've talked about water safety. Are you talking about just pools, water treatment? What tell us?
Right. So there's different aspects of a school, and then there's high risk areas, and then there's low risk areas. And so when we approach, I always like to approach from the administration. And so first I pick the mind of the leadership, because that first tells me it carries like a whole 25% from
their mindset and the culture that they're feeding.
Because what the mindset of the principal is gonna translate to your teachers. So I pick on that, and I pick, how do you deal with your incidences? Do you have an ambulance on call? Do you have Do you have a health and safety policy? Do your teachers know about it? Do you talk to your parents about a health and safety policy? Do you have a child protection and safeguarding policy? If a child walked into one of your teachers and they said, you know what, someone, dad hit me really badly yesterday. What do I do? Because you have to be the advocate of the child. So you notice a child who comes to you and they say, mom and dad were really fighting and I don't want to go home. What's your next move?
Wow.
Do you have a child protection and safeguarding policy? Do you have a fire safety policy? Do you have firefighter? Do you have teachers who are trained on firefighting?
My principal right now, I'm sweating.
I know. Hey. Are your teachers trained on first aid? And I'll tell you why. Because some of the incidences that we've had, and we have named them negligence, for sure, they were preventable. So I'll tell you of an incident. Sorry to cut you. I was talking about the audits, but there's an incident where I think it's Kayole, and a child, felt really sick, walks to a teacher and they say, I'm really feeling sick. And the teacher says, you know what, you go sleep at the corner, sleep through this lesson, and then, we will see, you will get better. And so he sleeps. And then next lesson, he's still asleep. And then now it's home time and they're trying to shake this child and the child is not there. He's gone. And then to make it worse is that they take him to hospital and then the hospital is the one that calls the mother. And so to me, there's everything there is this wrongly broken down, wrong. So first of all is the very first instinct. You are the adult. This child is not looking right. Act on it. Stop the class, literally take them, let something be done. But telling them to sleep and then 30 minutes. Something should be,
you should already call an ambulance. We were just talking about this with Juma, my producer, and we're saying from our high school experiences, we have gone through situations where unfortunately we know of classmates that we lost on account of the matron saying, stop pretending.
Yeah, just take Panadol, stop pretending. Or giving us that, what was the pink liquid? The pink,
there was that yucky one.
That
oh gosh,
pink
I know the chalky one.
For acidity.
Yes.
And it was for everything.
It was something, I know the one.
It's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think it was like a form of Actol. But for sure, so this child was lost. And I remember thinking to myself, so many things have gone wrong. Now, the thing with health and safety is that it's already backed up under the Ministry of Labour. There is a whole Occupational Safety and Health Act that tells us the standards, basic standards that you should have. At least have your teachers trained. Have them know that, hey, this child is not looking right. At least 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I should be able to raise an alarm that I have a child that is sleeping. But 2 hours later, same incident. Let me tell you,
so
last year, even worse, because I think there's another school, let me not mention their name, but, a parent, you've just gone to pick your child up and they're looking for them. They're looking and they find the child floating in a pool. So what you've said, there's no fence, there's no lifeguard. So maybe the child thought, you know what,
horrible.
I have my opportunity now to, for sure, it was negligent. I know it's gone all the way to the court, but I'm thinking...
Wait, so now you're the parent are the one who's even struggling looking for your child.
Now
the teacher doesn't even have an idea where
for 2 hours, nobody had an idea
where the child was.
That tells me we have a very huge gap.
Zero accountability.
A huge gap in how we are running our schools. And so that's what I'm saying. So I start with administration and I sit with the principals so that I pick their minds and I say, all right, if this happened right now, if a child somewhere is poking the socket, with that little pair of scissors, will your teacher be able to note that, hey, there's something happening there? Will they pull the child away and continue? Or they won't even notice? Or this child has now choked on a rubber, What will they do? Will they just hit their back? Probably really wrong, or will they know what to do?
Yeah.
And so I start with that administration bit as the audit, and I'm just ticking my checklist and I'm asking them, and then we do now a walk around and we start with the classrooms and we look at the roofs and we're looking at the electrical cables, and it is absurd. If you check my website where I've put, the kind of cables, you'll find open wires just sticking out somewhere. We've found roofs that are, the roofs that really carries water, and you're close this room for the next at least 1 month. Because you can see this one is just waiting for another downpour and then it's going to fall on your children. And so there's things that And again, it's the mindset. They're like, itashikilia.
Sio
You
bad
know,
vile.
si mbaya sana.
Yeah.
Hata sisi tulimake it. But you know,
Yeah.
until you have that school fall off.
Yeah.
There's a school, I think it was in Dagoretti, that actually slanted until it fell and 7 kids were, died. And I'm thinking, why do we have to get there? I'm sure someone had a squeaking sound, but again, our mindset of, we will sort it.
Until something
Wacha
happens.
tutafute pesa,
Yeah.
But you literally
That's
bargaining with the lives of our children. And so we look at the structure, we look at the playground. Another high risk area is the playgrounds, the swings that are so rusted nobody notices until a child. I think there was this merry-go-round and a child actually, he got thrown off because the thingy broke. It was rusted. So he has a broken arm, a broken jaw.
He flew.
Now you are receiving that
still
phone
see
call.
some schools with wooden swings.
Swings.
And that in itself, I think they were banned. Like, I lived in Australia for a bit, and I know they were banned in schools.
Yeah.
You have to have the polycarbonate, like the fiber.
Yes.
Which are like lightweight. They're practically
Light,
like
and
plastic.
then now, unfortunately, now because they are mostly in the open air, they get so heated up, and then they get these cracks, and they can cut children.
Splintered.
So they
Oh, Lord.
slide, and then they are getting cuts,
Yeah.
and you're having all these incidences. But something can be done. An inspection can be done.
Yeah.
Over those holidays, other than closing the school and saying tuonane next time, do a full inspection. And so from the pools, schools that have labs, we check your chemical safety. You remember when you were in high school and you're pulling and you're pipetting and you'd sip some ammonium.
The only person that had goggles was the teacher.
Only why?
Only the lab assistant or the teacher. And we never ever got those.
That's the thing.
That time you're working with like hydrochloric acid?
Hydrochloric acid, which is like 3%. It can burn everyone there.
You can have an explosion.
You can.
If you
especially
mix
the
things
boys
wrong.
who want to just grab a potassium and throw it in water.
My God, we survived. How did we
Let me tell you, God has been watching over us. But I mean, there's a place for negligence and there's a place of ignorance.
And there's wisdom.
And then
that we
there's
need to
wisdom
apply.
of putting things right.
Yeah.
Like right now, there is a child who, unfortunately not here in Kenya, but they actually sued their school because of a chemical explosion into the billions because his face melted. I mean, someone just, like our glass here. So if someone kept a new chemical, they did not do something as little as just labeling.
Oh no.
And then you come and you add something to, and it reacts, and your face is now
happens
melting.
to be there.
Because they have to have reconstruction surgery. And these things are happening, even in our schools.
And they're probably just not as widely reported.
Let me tell you,
are hush
the
hush.
simplest and harshest of accidents happen because of little things like negligence. So you're having HCL and you have 20 students for sure, but you've not made it standard practice that every burette that is tagged green, that means it's this, so that no one thinks, oh, this is water. Let me just.
And you do have the naughty boys. I know what
And
you're
you have
saying.
the naughty
We
boys.
did have them in our class.
And guess what? As long as they're under 18, you take full responsibility
for whatever they do.
Yes. So you see, there are so many things that could happen, and they start with the standards, the mentality from the principal who tells the head of
leadership.
camp and labs and says, you know what, I want everything labeled. I want standards because all these things are under the Occupational Safety and Health Act. They're all written there, labeling, don't put that HCl in a Dasani bottle. Because for sure, a boy will, even at home, when you hear stories of a child took paraffin, it's because it was in a soda can. And so it was in a Fanta orange bottle. And so the child thought, oh, I'm thirsty. And that's how they drank it.
Oh my God.
So it's those little incidences that really cost our children their lives. And so we look at the labs, we look at their water, we look at their kitchen, we look at the high risk areas.
There's food and health and
I'm
the
telling
safety,
you, even water,
cross-contamination, the way
let me tell you, many water dispensers are just put somewhere open where the sun is, is just directly over it. Those are plastics. There's a time these children just came and did a swab, even of the water in the nursing station, in my nursing room, and around all the schools, and the cultures that grew. And
But I'm scared to even ask. Oh Lord.
You know, because it's out in the sun, nice hot air for
Sounds like the
bacteria.
perfect conditions.
And
for...
you know, there's actually a rule that you should have your water tested at least twice a year. Twice a year, just take a sample of it, have it. But how many schools do you think are testing their water? We're having children drinking from the tap, and we're asking, why is H. pylori out there? Why? So we check the water. We ask the food handlers, the chefs. And we ask, you know what, have you had your food handlers test? Have you been checked for cholera? You remember in high school you'd find hair in our clothes, in our food, in our githeri.
How we survived.
But we
survived.
So we check every part of the school against the standards, and then we sit with the principals and the management, and we say, all right, this is the state of your school. Here are your high risk areas. Here are your high priority areas. Here are your transport, your buses. And Arusha lost 21 children in 2024.
Yeah.
21 children.
I mean, needless.
Why? There's a school bus that had an accident not so long ago. Why? You know, and most times you'll find that, the service was long overdue. No one even checked the brakes. No one did.
Lord.
Why should we have to lose why are we bargaining with the lives of our children?
If I can be honest, I'm listening to you with the ear of a parent. Mm-hmm. I'm also then asking myself, putting myself in the place of a leader. So, you know, whether it be a principal, whoever the decision maker is within a school system, it's overwhelming, all the things you're listing. Because I'm like, for example, for the school that you had to consult with that hadn't done it for 25, or rather had been around for 25 years, but didn't really have a solid system, so to speak, where does one start? I mean, granted, if you're a private or international school, you probably maybe have the budget to be able to look at those things and quickly start putting things in place. Where
do you start?
Exactly. Because I'm thinking, as a principal, I'm overwhelmed.
Yes.
As a parent, it's sobering, interesting, because I've already started doing a little bit of research for my little one. And unfortunately, I was more, because this is a wake-up call, I was more interested in the school's teaching methodology and approach. I was thinking that way, to be honest. But now you're making me think around, hang on, that school that I visited with a pool, I didn't ask whether they have, you know, all these things in place. But let's go back to the principal. Where does one start?
Right. So good thing, or rather point to note, safety is not a place you arrive. All right? You never arrive and you say, we are 100% safe. No. It's a journey of becoming. Every other day you're putting in measures. And so after the audit, we share with them high risk areas, and we say, you know what, I think first of all, before we even talk about training, which most times it's usually the top, because you see the negligence from just that teacher is on their phone while that child is swimming, that teacher is on their phone distracted. When that one, you're distracted.
Firstly, why is my kid's school teacher on the phone? Like, just
that's
anyway.
the thing. So you always start with the high risk areas, and most times it could be, you know, we've noted that this and this room or your fire extinguisher here and there is wrong. I mean, I have found a fire extinguisher, a foam, for those who understand, foam is water-based, foam fire extinguisher that has been placed outside the server room. So the server room is where you have all your electrical cables.
Fire, and
so that's the thing. So I mean, because as long as it's an extinguisher, you see, it's not just about having the extinguisher there. It's, do you have the knowledge around it? Because for sure, if there was a spark and they used the foam,
hello,
you know, so it's then the knowledge bit. So I always start with, can we have a sit down with your entire management? And that is from the principal and the heads of maybe the departments, your head of sports, your head of labs. Get a good group of your representatives. You all need to be aligned. Let's sit down and then let's talk. Yeah. Let's have a general health and safety talk. And then, so that first of all, it always catches them like, oh my gosh, yes, we need to have that. We need to think about that. And then now you start pinpointing those areas, the high risk areas, the things that could easily cause a fire. Most fires are caused by electrical, wrong electrical cabling in schools. And then we talk about it. We talk about, you know, what are the other ways that you could still manage with what you have. and then what else do you need maybe to now bring in, so that, I mean, because we look at the budgets, but all of it is recommended. We recommend, first of all, can we not block all the exits? Can we have school bags at least put in a certain way? Because when there's an accident, they follow the same culture. They will all run out through that door where you've put all the bags.
And so everyone's gonna.
And
trip,
so that's why the drips,
gonna,
exactly.
Oh,
so that's why the drills come in handy, because they show you the behavior when there's an actual accident.
that panic mode.
So we sit down with the management and we let them know. I know it can feel heavy, but we help them through it. We walk with them through it. Term 1, term 2, term 3. Let us look at what can we start with this term. And next, most times it's just training. Just get them headspace of your teachers thinking,
getting them the knowledge.
I need even just discipline.
Because even just like what you've done today with what you've taught, like you've opened my eyes to, I feel like I'm even going home and like just opening my eyes to certain things that I haven't thought about. So just that, having that discussion with them, the knowledge, because now they're empowered.
Now they're empowered.
And they're even in a position outside of you consulting with the school to be able to call out things to the leadership and say, hey, by the way, I think we have a problem here, or this is a potential risk. This is so what would you say to, because it's one thing for schools to be aware of this, and I hope, that there's principals and teachers and, people who are of influence within that setup who are watching this. But what would you say to parents? Because in my head, I'm thinking, well, how do I influence the system? It's one thing if I'm a paying parent, but again, knowledge is lacking.
Yes.
We're very, very educated, but I feel like there's certain knowledge that is lacking.
Yes.
You've listed things I've never thought about.
Yeah.
And it's not that sikuenda shule. I went to school.
Yes.
But how would you recommend that parents go about advocating within their environments, maybe I found a really good school, my kids are getting along, they've got friends, they get along with their teachers, but I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think, no one's ever talked to me about health and safety. No one's ever told me, actually, maybe they'll probably have conversations with their kids around, do you guys do fire drills? Do you guys, and they find, hey, yeah, mom, what's a fire drill? So what is your advice to such a parent? How can we advocate to get the right systems in
going
place in school?
Right. So to start with, safety is intentional. All right. Safety does not happen by accident. It's very intentional. And so my advice to parents is to approach without the accusatory tone, but more you're trying to get your child's school to be safe. All right. So, just ask questions. You can start by asking your children, which part of the school feels most safe? If a child says, even when we were in the pool, I actually drank some water, I was trying to signal the teacher, that should raise an alarm,
let me tell you, I watched a school, and you've said that, and I'm like, wait a minute, the culture is all wrong. Everyone I've spoken to, and I don't know about you, but schools that had swimming as part of their program, everyone has a story about their swimming teacher. They were scared of their swimming teacher. We're like, okay, we were laughing about it. We're like, okay, but we can all swim today. Yes. But there's a culture of, I witnessed it myself because I went to an establishment it wasn't a school. It was, I think a school had hired a pool for the day, or I think they use pools if they don't have any. And I witnessed the teacher throwing the child into the pool at itampatia, courage. So the kid is there like, then he pulls him out again, throws him in. And I guess for the adult, he's like, if anything happens, I'm here. But the boy is traumatized. I could see the screaming and so I don't know if you encounter things like that.
I have heard of such practices, and I really wish we were very, very, very we had gotten to that place in our country where safety was not a third thing or like a casual thing. I wish it was our number one priority when it comes to safety. But given that we are where we are, again, a lot of awareness is going to help. So I'd ask the parents, where you begin is speak with your child. Ask them what are the areas they feel safest, what are the areas they don't feel safe, and then approach the school not to accuse but to help them get better. Go and ask, what, by the way, do you have a health and safety policy? What do you, have you been inspected? Have your pools been inspected? Do you have walk around? This is where your child spends. In fact, we're trying to calculate it, more than 25% of their life is in school, because from the time they're 3 to until after college, it's quite a huge chunk of their lives so just as much as we normally look for a house and you look at the safety, it's 8 hours a day. That's actually a third of every day they are in this school. So ask questions about safety. Ask, you know what, are their teachers trained? When they're going for that trip, ask, this place they're going to, has that place been inspected? Because that's the other thing that I find many people forget. So you're taking them to a mall, have the things in that mall been checked? Because we will hold the school liable, but had they checked? So I try and tell principals, you're taking your children to Paradise Lost, you're taking your children to see the alligators. Have you made sure that they have all the safety measures? Because nobody wants a story for, now, see, it is that, no, I want my child whole as they left the house.
It's so true. I also just want to really quickly, because I know we're wrapping up and we're like, there's so many things you've touched on. I'm like, I really want to explore, but this is, again, all the more reason why parents need to advocate to, especially if they notice that their schools don't have those systems in place, lobby to get people like yourselves. And I don't think I've actually, before you, I don't think I've actually ever heard of anyone doing what you're doing. I think it's new, and I know you only just started in 2023 in terms of your own consultancy.
Yes.
But you've been doing this for how long?
I mean, for the last, that would be 7 years.
Yeah. Wow.
From
the time you started.
From the time I started with the school. Yes.
Yeah.
Has it been there? It has been there. Only not yet focused on schools.
Yeah.
It's focused on workplaces and commercial places and industries.
But nobody's thinking about our children, which is, when I think about, like, I was looking at some of the statistics that you have on your website and on your Instagram, something like 107 schools
that caught fire
in 2024.
Yeah.
Then I saw the statistics from 2016, where it was like almost upwards of 300.
Yes.
I was like, what in the world? And then we all sit down and shake our heads and say, what a tragedy.
Yeah, what a tragedy. These children.
And then now suddenly we're interested in, well, what's the school program and how many beds are in a, so there's so many different angles to this. I also noticed that there's something, and I love that you do this. There was mental health talks with children around bullying.
Yes.
This really caught my eye, because I was sharing with someone yesterday. My nephew, at age, was it 6, came home with a slash right down from his ear, right down to near his chin. Why? Because a boy in his classroom took a blade from a sharpener, was unhappy with something he said. We're not quite sure or clear on the details of what happened, but he slashed him. And I'm thinking, these are 7-year-olds. Firstly, where did you even get the idea to... I've never even thought about getting the blade from a... Do you know what I mean?
I know, yeah.
So there's like this element of bullying, because then a few months later, he came home with a near broken arm and all of this. But I love that I saw that you tackle mental health as well, and equipping teachers to be able to have conversations with children around safety in the classroom and
even
fields.
just mental health, So
there's so many angles to this.
So many angles, especially the mental health one. Again, I was the child protection officer in these 2 schools. And let me tell you, in fact, that the top issue when it comes to mental health would be cyberbullying. There's a lot of cyberbullying.
No, I thought that was a Western thing. Are you telling me it's here as well?
It is here, and it is massive. We have 13-year-olds who are bullying each other with different names.
Mobile phones.
Let me tell you, it's not even Facebook, it's not even WhatsApp, it's not Snapchat, it's different little groups that even us, we're like, gosh, do you know that one? Even I don't know that. And then they have anonymous names and they talk about each other. And you see children literally writing, I'm gonna go and die. And we have had children who are they're really getting seriously suicidal.
In Kenya, I know I've seen stories in Australia.
In
UK.
Kenya, it is so rampant.
You kidding me?
It is a lot, because right now the social media space has, we've really exposed our kids.
Yes.
And so they're all looking for likes, and they're all looking for all this attention. So it's a lot. There's so much to be done in our schools.
So then now you're having to educate teachers on what to look at. What are the cues?
How do you notice a child who's going through, who's been bullied, who's going through some form of depression?
Yes.
This child has missed school for 3 days. This child is constantly covering their arms. Are they cutting themselves? Are they self-harming? What do you do?
Are you talking to parents as part of, is there opportunity? Because it's one thing for the teachers to be educated and aware, and for the principals and all of that, and to make schools safe. But I'm wondering, just even with what you're doing, because to be honest, truly as a parent, and I know mine is really young, but I'm thinking about my nephews, I'm thinking about all the older kids in my life. I'm thinking, is there opportunity, like even for parents,
To speak
teachers
to
type of
parents.
thing, for you to be able to, because if the parents are aware, and my podcast is one of a small audience,
Yes.
okay, big audience, you guys,
Big audience.
but you know what I mean? There's a lot of parents out there that don't know that what you do exists, or even aware enough to go, hey, we need to hold the school accountable as to how do we, because they're essentially co-parenting their children.
Yes.
So how do we come together to ensure that our children are safe online, are safe at school, are safe?
Let me tell you, there's so much you can do. That's why I was telling you how I'm feeling like I also want to start a podcast. Because I
there's
feel
a
as though
lot to
there's
cover.
so much, because having worked in schools,
Yes.
we started programs, the mental health programs, we call them I Am Enough programs, and would sit with year 7s, year 9s, year 10s, and you just sit with them and discuss their issues, and you're like, yo, there is so much. And most of them are like, yeah, dad is always away, mom is always away. And so you see that what then they look for validation amongst their friends. And then they start
they're getting
hating on each other, they segregate one person. And so that depression finds them because they're looking for attention in there's so much to discuss.
Pastor Joy, first of all, I'm sure you've had this, but you're actually doing the Lord's work, because it's new to my ears. Like you said, it has existed, but I think when I think about OHS, yes, I always thought about it in the workplace. I never ever actually, and even OHS, I'm thinking, yeah, you would be thinking about occupational health and safety for the teachers and the staff who work at the school, but we never stopped to ask ourselves, how do we
about the
keep our
children?
kids safe? So I feel like there's a lot that we could go into it for days.
Yes.
But I'm also mindful, obviously, of your time,
Yes.
mindful of the time of my audience. But you need to get in touch with Pastor Joy. I don't know how. Actually, we're going to put all your handles
Yes.
in the description below.
Yes.
I want to hear you guys comment. If you have any questions, I'm going to share all of Pastor Joy's handles, her socials.
Yes.
I found, but I love your website layout. It's very simple. Even her IG, the statistics that she shares and things that you guys need to think about. It's very well laid out. It's very simple, minimalist. Me, I don't like when there's medogodanyo or a lot of stuff going on a website. So it's really well laid out. Inform yourselves, and like she was saying, approach your schools not necessarily in a confrontational kind of like way, but just to hold them accountable, to say, during those parent-teacher meetings where they're calling you guys as parents to tell them how they can do things better, is to ask them, hey, what do we have in place for the safety of our children? And like I said, I've started looking for schools, and now I'm going to go in with all those things that you just mentioned around, hey, what is their program when it comes to this? How are teachers ensuring that our children are safe? Pastor Joy, it has been such a pleasure.
Thank you.
I feel like, we could have gone for days.
There's so much
information I want to get from you.
Yes.
But you, like I said, we are going to share your handles out here. Is there anything, just a parting shot? And I know Juma is going to come back and tell you that's your camera. But what is your parting shot for parents and teachers, or rather the school system? I should say.
The school system. Safety should never be by accident.
Yeah.
Safety ought to be very intentional.
Yeah.
It should not be an afterthought. We should not bargain with our kids.
Yeah.
And this is both to parents and to the schools. Let's not bargain with our lives. I mean, there's so much. Let's prevent rather than, come back and say, how can we cure? And so mine would be to say, what, let's start with the leadership. It starts with the very people at the top. And this is the parents who are at the top. As you're sitting in those, as you're sitting with the principals, ask the questions. Ask, in case of an accident in this school, what would be the procedure to get to me? If you call me and you don't find me, what next? Or if that wall on one side of your school fell, what measures have you put in to keep our children safe? Ask not to confront them, but so that they can begin to think about it. It's a culture that we ought to bring in. Let us not be so sloppy with it. Let us not bargain. That bargaining mindset with safety is where we go wrong. And so unless we make it a priority, it will never be. But thank you. I mean, reach out. For sure, I'm going to share my
because I feel like there's going to be probably a lot of parents who want to know how they can get you to Ebu come and talk to, my kids' school and all of that. But thank you so much. Sure. It has been so enlightening. I'm like, hey, I wish I was taking notes, but I think I'll go. I'll go back to your IG because it's so well laid out and there's a lot on there to think about. Pastor Joy, thank you so much for making the time to be here today. And guys, I'm so happy to be back. I looked at the wrong camera again. See how I'm rusty? I looked at the wrong camera again, but I'm so happy to be back. We'll see you on the next episode. And to all mums, dads, everyone that's looking after someone, I just want to remind you that you are doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
Ciao.
Ciao.
On this one. Ready? With a smile in 3, 2, 1.
Shuma, I don't know why I just burst out laughing, but we hear you guys comment if you have any questions. That's a blooper. Guys, my producer was just telling me where to look and where not to look. So I'm just keeping you open to my process. He's actually pointing at this particular, I'm addressing the nation now.